I'm recording. I've clapped. Can you clap, please, Chris? Actually clap.
I did.
I was not loud enough. It cancelled out the sound.
I didn't hear your one either.
That's our intro.
Yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first, well not the first, the 0 episode of Dr. Y podcast. The Dr. Y podcast. We'll get used to this. It's a start. I'm Nermian, also known as Bam, which is my actual name. And then I have AngryPacifist, also known as Chris, which is his actual name. We're here to do a little episode 0 of our podcast because we need to have an episode out for us to be on distribution sites, so we have to make this. But we're gonna have a little conversation, a little talk, a little discussion, and yeah, there's a video version. I don't know where this is gonna go.
It might have to be your channel then.
It might have to be.
Yeah. 'Cause my channel's not monetized and it's never been monetized. Yeah, I haven't had the content for it.
That's a shame. But yeah, let's we're gonna go right into and talk about the biggest news that happened in Doctor Who for a while, and that is
Don Bishop being the new companion.
Dan, the new companion. Dan, oh, John Bishop, let's go,
Lewis from
Millwall. No, it's Russell T Davies returning as showrunner for Doctor Who, which is big news, humongous news, huge news.
Sure, people know that it's big news. I don't think they'd be watching this podcast if they didn't already know how big news it was.
Nah, it's not really. Nah, the Russell Davies, some indie writers is now the showrunner. Some small time writer. He just came out of college. Russell T Davies. If you don't know,
Russell's me. I've changed my name to Russell. That's idea. I should have told you. We had all those plans, and I've just got rid of them.
So my name's now Russell. What do you think about Russell T Davies returning, Chris?
I think he was a very good showrunner back then, but over time, I felt like I find that his era of Doctor Who is really good, but it works best the first time you watch it, and since it's been so long since we've had that, I've kind of felt like I've lost my love for his era. So on the one hand, I'm happy that he's back, so I can find that love again. But then at the same time, I've found that I really like the Stephen Moffat era, because that one, the episodes keep getting better and better, especially if you watch them out of order. So I don't like Russell's style anymore, so I don't really want him to come back and do his style again. But then again, I want to fall him back in love with it. And
have you seen Russell's show? What's it called? Because he did a Dalek episode in that show.
It's a Sin.
Yeah, and apparently it's really. I still need to watch it because apparently it's really good.
I haven't seen it yet. I heard about that episode, and I thought I need to watch it then.
So because my opinion of Russell Davies is, Russell Davies' era of Doctor, everyone is nostalgic about David Tennant's Doctor and that era of Doctor Who, because that's probably the highest Doctor Who has ever been.
When you consider that the show wasn't on for years, so you got like teenagers who watched it as teenagers who loved it, and then children who watched it at the time, and then people our age who are like 5, 6, 7 years old going into Doctor Who, really young. We love it for that, and so there's so many people that find nostalgia for that era of the show.
That era of Doctor Who is not my favorite era. I know why people love it. I know why people like. If you talk to someone who watched Doctor Who and no longer watches Doctor Who, they'll always be like, "Oh, I loved when David Tennant was the Doctor. He was my favorite. The 10th Doctor was my favorite." You always hear that. You'll never see someone who dropped Doctor Who and goes, "Oh, my favorite Doctor was, I don't know, Matt Smith. Like even our friend Ali, whenever he's talking about Doctor Who, he's like, "Oh, I love David Tennant's Doctor Who. That was my Doctor," right? But I always am the guy who, like, if anyone knows me, my favorite Doctor is Christopher Eccleston. Not Chris Eccleston. Jesus Christ, Peter Capaldi. I meant Peter Capaldi. My favorite Doctor is Peter Capaldi. I think he's just perfect, and I feel like he would have been the prime Doctor if also the stories he had was great. Like he took his shitty stories and said, I'm gonna make this gold, and he did. Yeah. And that's why, like, I can watch Capaldi episodes and be like, Jesus Christ, this guy is so good. But then my favorite like era to watch is Matt Smith's era, and I think the main reason for that is because it's so, like, it's not even like it's intertwined, because T Davies' era was the most intertwined, I would say.
Yeah.
But it was just like Matt Smith looked like a freshly birthed baby, right? But he had the demeanor of someone who lived for like 500 years. And it is a testament to Matt Smith's acting, because he looked young, but always felt like this guy is old, you know?
Yeah.
I don't feel Jodie's character Doctor has that, and Matt Smith's Doctor has that in buckets. From Rings of Akaten to A Good Man Goes to War to so many moments. He's just there, and you're like, Jesus Christ, okay, we've got to listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about, right? Yeah. And Capaldi had it too with the, this is a scale model of war, Kate. It's like,
yeah.
He has that
you
too.
You don't know war. Yeah, when you've seen the stuff that I have.
When I close my eyes. It's like
you hold it tight and burn your hand.
Like, people are worried that, like, oh, T Davies is gonna do what he did before, right? He's just gonna have sexy Doctor, companions who love the Doctor.
Yeah.
Alonzi.
Yeah. Yeah. But then again, remember how different the Ninth Doctor was to that. Like,
that's where I was just about to go.
Yeah.
Eccleston's Doctor was very much like, I'm your cool dad, we're gonna go to the pub, have a beer, we're gonna chill. Yeah. And like the only time he ever kissed someone's when he had to kiss Rose, and that's still one of the worst lines I've ever heard in Doctor Who. Looks like you need a doctor. Mwah, 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 mwah. But it's also they're different Doctors. They felt different, and I 100% trust that T Davies would write a different Doctor.
I do want him to return to Series 1 in many ways, because while Series 1 isn't my favourite series, I admit that it's probably the best. Like, there's just small things about it that I just absolutely love. Like the fact that, in the background of different scenes, especially in Rose, the first episode, the TARDIS is sort of hidden in plain sight, and you sort of don't notice it, but it's in the background, sort of hidden behind, a bit of wall, and stuff like that. It's all the hidden extra stuff that he did for that series. That I want him to start doing again.
It's also the fact that Russell T Davies wasn't afraid to kill characters.
Like Linda with a Y in Passing of the Ways.
Like, he just wasn't afraid to kill everyone.
Oh man!
And that's another thing. Again, this isn't meant to be an episode of shitting on Chibnall, but it's gonna be me shitting on Chibnall. Chibnall was not Chibnall. Like, my prime example of when a Chibnall character should have died was Ryan's dad. Ryan's dad should have just sacrificed himself to save his son, but no, electric cooker. I'm like, imagine the idea. Like the whole episode is Ryan feels his dad's never been there for him, and his dad doesn't love him. Then the end, his dad sacrificed himself to save his son. That would have been picture perfect, beautiful.
Yeah, and it should have been a bloodbath. Series 11 should have been a bloodbath. Like, compared to, like, Stephen Moffat didn't kill characters. Like, he killed them off, but he brought them back to life. And I think what you needed to go on from that is, what Chibnall did is just not handle death at all. He just didn't do it. But what he should have done was just have all the minor characters die off. Like, you introduce a character for an episode, and no matter if they're, look like they're going to be the next companion, or they're just a random person who's clearly not going to be there next week. You kill them off anyway. That's what he should have done. He should have just killed everyone.
That's another good thing about today, and it also remind me of the Voyage of the Damned episode with Kylie Minogue, right?
Yeah.
She was the perfect next companion archetyped. Like you could see and be like, that's a lot to, and then they just kill her off, and I'm like, oh my, honestly, I remember watching that episode and I see her die, and I was like, you didn't just do that. I love this character, and you just, oh my god, I was like, you can't do that. You just killed her off.
I love how in that episode he introduced a whole load of people, and you don't know at the start who's going to be alive at the end.
That's a cool thing.
But then at the end, it's all the characters that you hate have survived. I mean, Mr. Copper's quite nice, but you got that evil guy.
Sorry, I remember he's like, oh, I don't know how much money I need. I bought £1 million. £1 million! Oh my god! I can have a life on Earth. £1 million.
But you've got the evil guy who survives, and he's horrible, and yet you've got that really sweet couple who are there, and this on all the food.
The guy from Tracy Beaker, that dude.
Yeah,
and Baraka Falata.
And
Baraka Falata.
And it's like if anyone could have survived, it would have been those two if you could have chosen. But then again, that leads into Waters of Mars and stuff.
Again, more this is the thing I love about T Davies, and this is the thing that T Davies is really good at characters. Even though I'm not a guy who liked Rose, I don't really like Rose. I've always said this. Rose isn't my favorite companion because I feel Rose just kind of, she always took the limelight, especially for Martha, who should have got it. Martha's very underrated.
In series 2 and 3, Rose took the limelight, and she wasn't even in series 3. Oh, we're following Rose's story, even though she's not in it anymore. We're still following Rose, and I think Russell sort of pushed that idea too much. And it kind of ruined some of his later stuff.
If we're gonna move because I trust Russell's gonna do something great with Doctor Who, but then there is always the little fear that he might go into old habits of because this is the thing. Russell made Doctor Who a drama.
Yeah.
Moffat made Doctor Who a sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Chibnall tried to make Doctor Who a drama again.
Yeah.
And my favorite time was with Matt Smith, where it had elements of a drama, but it was very sci-fi. It was stupid sci-fi. What
I love about Steven Zero is that it's just like a new version of Classic Who. If Classic Who had continued through the 90s into the noughties, and by 2010, it probably would have been Stephen Moffat doing the same kind of stuff. It didn't feel like a separate show. Russell was very he kept to his era, whereas Stephen he went out and he did all of these alien planets and stuff, and he didn't make it for the casual viewer so much. He made it to feel like Classic Who much more than Russell's era was.
And it's going on what you just said now about Moffat's Doctor Who and how it feels. It's very much planet, and this is the and then this is their power, and you're like, oh shit, okay, this is where we're even during T Davies' era, the episodes Moffat wrote are fucking great. Yeah.
The library episode is probably the perfect example of the kind of thing that you're describing. We just thrown into this library setting. We've got these new characters, these new side characters, one of whom is apparently the Doctor's new companion or something, and we just showing the Vasnarada, and we just got to sort of,
and it's not even they don't show the Vasnarada is literally a shadow, and it's it's an editing technique. It's a jump cut. That is all it is. That is the Vasnarada, and it's I remember watching an episode going, I'm not going to step on a shadow ever again in my life. I was like, I don't want to be eaten alive.
It's much more the concept that makes it scary
Here's
compared to how it looks.
statues that don't move when this statue that only move when you're not looking at them, and you're like, oh
Yeah,
my god. And like, and this is one thing I didn't like about when they did the first Matt Smith Weeping Angels episode where they made him move. I really hate that, because I always
yeah,
liked the idea that like the Weeping Angels, even when we were watching them, they wouldn't move. That's what. Oh, I was like, that's so cool. Even the fourth wall audience can't see them move.
yeah.
And like,
And I heard, I didn't actually listen to the commentary myself, but I heard people say in the commentary for Blink, you've got like even during the commentary, Russell and Steven are arguing about should the angels move, like when the characters aren't looking, but should the audience see them moving anyway? And they were just having an argument mid commentary about it.
T Davis is really good at writing characters. I think one of my favorite characters in T Davis' era is Rose's mother,
Oh yeah.
like Jackie. She's
Mm.
just like I love that, and that's another thing I love about T Davis' era, that he showed the companions' families.
Mm.
That's something that I really like want back. Like Rose flies away to some random alien Donnie in a leather jacket, then comes back and goes,
Yeah.
leather jacket goes to the end of fucking Earth and it goes, oh wait, I should call my mother. It's like, oh shit, yeah, you have a family. Okay.
Yeah, and then in Aliens of London, you've got that bit where she realizes that she's like a missing person now, and Mickey, who was like the last person to see her, the police believe that he's kidnapped her, and so he's had a year of like trying to prove his innocence to the
Yeah, they have the
police.
poster like, where's Rose gone? Oh, we've been gone for 10 minutes. No, we've been gone for like a minute. No, you've been gone for a year or something like that. It's like 6 minutes,
Yeah,
6 months, like that. It's like, oh my god,
yeah,
like it shows like, and there was and you can feel like, okay, now Jackie doesn't like the Doctor. There's a story that can go on there of the Doctor having to
yeah.
win over Jackie. Imagine an episode where it's set on Earth, right?
Mm.
The TARDIS is like, I don't know, it's not able to go anywhere right now. I don't know. The
Mm.
TARDIS is being a stubborn little child. The TARDIS like, I don't want to travel anywhere. Fuck you, Doctor. Right? The Doctor has to stay on Earth, right? And just like, you know how like the episode the Power of Three, where it's just the Doctor having to do Earth things, right? The Doctor's
Yeah,
staying on Earth. Yaz is being what's it called, a cop, right? And something happens to
yeah,
Yaz's family, and you figure out like, you learn about Yaz's family and her relationship with her family, and then the Doctor learns about that, and then the Doctor helps Yaz with whatever. Like let's say there's an underlying issue where, like, I don't know, Yaz's family didn't agree with Yaz. I don't know, probably having a crush on the Doctor. Let's say that's a thing,
yeah.
right?
Oh no, he did that. He did that in Rosa with the white man.
Don't start me on that. That was trash. But like, let's say you have like no one, like her family's not really like, okay, you're gay, but we don't care. Like, we're not going to talk
Yeah.
about it today, right?
Mm.
And then meeting the Doctor changes their opinion, because like, the Doctor's really fucking cool, and they're like, is that the girl you like? And Dice goes, I don't know, like something like that, and I'd be like, that's cool. It shows change, it
Yeah.
shows development, and not just Yaz but also Yaz's family, and it puts forward this idea that Yaz is into the Doctor, right? Because also it makes sense, because the Doctor's liked women in the past, so why wouldn't the Doctor like Yaz? That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, and because it's just weird to me. But it's like,
Yeah. And this is, you know, this is the thing, because you mentioned Power of Three. That's a Chibnall episode. He wrote that one. So
that is true. He
um,
can write
I
character.
yeah. Well, I mean, he normally has quite a bit of help from someone else. We know with his Torchwood work that was mostly Noel Clarke. But you know, when he was first like announced as showrunner, everyone was like, "Great, we're going to return to the family stuff," because that's what we saw with Brian, Rory's dad, in Series 7. And we didn't really have that. We had that a bit with like Graham and Ryan, but they were together in the TARDIS with Yaz all at once, and it was just, there was never, like, if let's say that Graham was just at home, not in the TARDIS at all, then we would have had time to go and see him. But the fact they were all together, it meant that we didn't have that time. And then we had a bit with like Yaz's mum in the Trump episode, and then Yaz's grandma in the Punjab episode. But other than that, like, we don't see them again. Like,
and it's a shame. It's a shame because I honestly thought like Yaz could be a really good companion.
Yeah, she could. Yeah,
like
maybe this series, now that there's a companion viewer, it could work.
Maybe, but it's like from when there is. From us getting me falling in love with Carly, like again, I don't know how. Like it's not hard.
This happened before in the Peter Davison era, is there were loads of companions back then, especially season 19, which was his first season, was the worst one, because you've got Tegan, who all we really know about her in season 19 is that she is Australian, she's a bit bossy, and she wants to get to Heathrow because she's got to start her shift at work, because she's like an air stewardess. And then there's Nissa, who I still don't even know much about her, and she was in 2 out of 3 Davison seasons. And then there's Adric, who's just this annoying little kid who gets blown up in one story. Like, you know nothing about these companions, even though you had like a whole season to develop all of them. Like, you'd at least think that one of them would get some development at some point. It never really works. So you only get it working in like one-off stories like Boomtown or Strong on Earth, Journey's End, where you just have all of them in for a one-off.
Like Madame the Pompadour episode is probably an episode an episode that I'll bring up. I know people don't really like that episode. I know
it's because the Doctor's cheating on Rose, and then Rose is cheating on Mickey with the Doctor. and so why is Mickey just standing around doing nothing the entire time?
It's an example of like having multiple characters and still having characterization, right? You'd have the Doctor falls in love. Well, it's also really weird because the Doctor falls in love with a child. But anyways, the Doctor falls in love with Madame de Pompadour, right? The idea is that he wants to add her to Team TARDIS, if we're gonna call it that.
Yeah.
Right. He wants her to join Team TARDIS because he thinks she's really cool. But then realizes that every time he meets her, time moves further on further. Like he meets her as she grows up each time. To the point where the time he promises he's going to meet her again, she's dead. It's with Doctor Who, I feel like when it it's not even like there's no rules. It's just Doctor Who, to me, is this. It's similar to like Star Wars. How like Star Wars has changed, right? Star Wars is like the most recent Star Wars movie is very different to the very first Star Wars movie, right? Yeah. And the first of the reboot Doctor Who is very different to the modern Doctor Who. Like it's different, and that's not always a bad thing. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to have change, because everything changes. That's the way you that's the way you keep these shows relevant, is by changing them, making them be more update with the times. But there are some tentpoles that I feel like should remain. Like Star Wars, the woo sound of a lightsaber is always the same, right? That's a tentpole. If they randomly change the sound of a lightsaber list tomorrow, everyone will be pissed, right? They'll be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, I did watch watch an interview with Russell recently. I think it was for something for Series 1 Confidential. And he was, people had asked him, what are you going to make the TARDIS at Syria going to look like? Because police boxes aren't relevant anymore. Are you going to make it a phone box, or like one of those Wi-Fi boxes you see, on the street corner? Like, what's it going to be? And he was like, of course it's a police box. Like, you can't change that. It's always going to be a police box. Otherwise, Doctor Who isn't Doctor Who without the police box. It's like Star Wars without the lightsaber noises.
There are tentpoles, and then with tentpoles and stuff like that, the TARDIS, the Doctor being a Time Lord, a Gallifreyan, they're different.
Not even at this point. Not even Timeless Child.
Sorry, oh Jesus Christ, that's a prime example.
Yeah.
Changing a tempo of the character that I really dislike that idea. Like, let me go started because we have a limited time on this episode 0. But like, let me not get started on that whole thing. But there's tempos to Doctor Who that I feel like should remain, and I feel like the things that should change aren't changing.
Yeah.
And the things that shouldn't change are changing. Like not so much with Flux, because I think I think the idea of Flux being a whole long story is pretty cool. I think that's a cool idea. It will give you a reason to carry on watching the next episode as well, because it all links.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why series 11 is it? Series 11 wasn't the best is because it felt like everything was willy-nilly. You just shooting at the hip.
Everything was separate.
And then series 12 came, and there was a bit of continuity there, and with the master stuff, and I was like, this was better.
Yeah, it's like you had something of a story arc to it.
Yeah, you're like this. I feel like I may have not liked the reveal, but there was still a reveal. There was still something it was leading to, and this gives, and especially when it finishes, and it'll be like the free Doctor Who, like not the free FRE, but the number 3, Doctor Who like mini movie things, before Jodie goes, like those changes I am 100% fine with, and I think are pretty cool. The change of the Doctor being male to female, I don't fucking care. It works. I'm fine with that. I
don't think it works with Jodie necessarily, not with her as an actor. But I think the change is fine on surface level.
I think it's fine. And then the things that I just think have been changed that just don't work is the fact that like the things that change that don't work is stuff like not Eccleston, I was gonna say Eccleston, I meant Chibnall taking away things that have been in Doctor Who for a long time, like Unit. Like Unit's been there for a long time, and Chibnall went, well, because of Brexit, Unit's gone. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Because Brexit happens, we haven't lost the army. Like, what's going on? like
I mean, it's the United Nations Intelligence Task Force. Like, you could have just said, "Oh, we're not in it anymore."
Like, it's just,
but the whole thing's gone. You know, the UK is the EU, and a United Nations organization just falls apart.
it's just these things, and that's the thing that, like, some people are like, oh, it doesn't matter, you can bring it back, but it's like the fact that it was taken away just shows that you didn't understand.
Yeah.
With T Davies coming back, the one thing that I do hope comes back is Doctor Who spin-offs, because T Davies has been adamant in saying that Doctor Who should be like, let's say, the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with spin-offs and separate characters getting their own bit, and then big, like, we bring them all back together episodes like he did with Sarah Jane Adventures, Torchwood, and Doctor Who. Like, there should be that, because Chibnall did have I think, did we talk about this? No, I might talk about it with someone else. But Chibnall did make no, it was Chibnall, was it? No, it was Moffat. Moffat made a spin-off show for Doctor Who.
Oh, Class.
Yeah, and it's fucking awful.
Oh, it is. It's pretty bad. Yeah,
it's bad. It's bad. But like,
I couldn't get through episode 1.
It's bad.
I couldn't get like 10 minutes through it.
But like, it's a thing, and like, like with obviously with Elizabeth Sladen gone, you can't have Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah, well, of course.
But the characters have established in Sarah Jane Adventures still are actors. Fucking Rani was in a recent Doctor Who series as an alien. Like the actors can still be a part of the team. But the actors came back to do the freaking Goodbye Sarah Jane thing. Like, they obviously have great respect for the characters and the show that they were a part of. And I feel like, honestly, a Luke Smith sideshow would be so goddamn cool. Imagine Luke Smith's in Unit. He meets Sanjay. Yeah. Like all of this stuff. Like it will be so goddamn cool. Just a sideshow. Put it on CBBC. Like just have it on there. Like you don't need to bring Torchwood back, but you can have a I don't know. You can even have a fucking Graham and Ryan sideshow if you want to, of them going around. I don't even know where they're fucking from. Yorkshire. Sheffield. Go around Sheffield finding aliens. I don't know, because they established that there's aliens in Sheffield. Something like that.
Yeah.
Anything. Doctor Who was huge when it was just like Doctor Who felt like an event. Like I would go and be like, I'm going to watch, I don't know, Day of the Doctor. I'm going to go watch the series finale. I'm going to go watch. Nowadays, I'm like, oh yeah, Doctor Who ended. Cool. Like.
Doctor Who's on for a bit. Cool.
Yeah.
I remember saying this to you around the time that Series 12 was airing. Back in the day, it would feel like Doctor Who would be talked about here and there when it wasn't on, and then it was all that anyone could talk about when it was on. But when Series 12 was airing, it was just kind of here and there, like as if it wasn't on 10, like as if it was between series 10 years before.
Honestly, I have friends who, like, I literally are like, the only reason we even started talking was because of Doctor Who. Like, we both like, you like Doctor Who? I like Doctor Who. Let's talk. And then now they're like friends for 10 years. Like, I've known them for ages.
Yeah, I mean, but wasn't that the same for us? I mean,
it's true, but it's like, shout out to Seb, at my university, cool guy, right? Like Doctor Who has brought me, like, has given me friends, has given me lifetime friends, and it feels like even in the old days where people I didn't even like, I was as a kid in the playground in my primary school, we had a tree which slightly looked like a TARDIS interior, and we were no, because it had like bits coming out of it. There was a bit of a trunk that was cut.
The Russell T Davies era TARDIS with the pillars. Yeah,
so there's bits coming out of it. There was like a little like trunk that was cut out that looked like a big hand button that you could press, and we just played Doctor Who. Like, that's what we did. Like, we put a stick and pretend it's a sonic screwdriver. We'd run around and be like, "Oh my god, it's a Dalek!" Like, and that's all we would do. Like, that's how much Doctor Who was to my childhood, right? And the same thing was with Harry Potter and Star Wars. We would find two sticks, they're lightsabers. We find two sticks, they're wands, right? That's how, that was me as a child. And like nowadays, I can't even imagine having a conversation about a new series of Doctor Who. I can't walk into a room and go, "Has anyone seen Doctor Who Series 12? No, I haven't seen that.
Even though there was a Series 12, someone might say.
Someone would be like, "I stopped watching after Matt Smith."
David Tennant.
Like that's the thing. Like that's the thing. Like people would say, "I stopped watching Doctor Who." Like, you still watch Doctor Who? I remember Doctor Who. Like, no one goes, "I remember Star Wars," or I remember EastEnders. Like, no one does that. It's still, these shows still get talked about.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who doesn't. And why is that? The question is that it's because Doctor Who has, as we've said, as this whole point was started from, and I think Doctor Who has focused on changing the wrong things.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, given Russell's recent work, who do you think he would cast as the Doctor?
That Alexander dude? No.
No.
I don't want the Doctor being a white twink.
I don't want the Doctor being someone who worships the ground Russell walks on, and you can see that in interviews with Ollie Alexander.
What is that woman's name? Hold on a second. Let me Google her name. She was a Doctor. Not a Time Lord. In one of the episodes.
The woman from Years and Years. The sort of middle-aged black woman.
Tanaya Miller. That's her name. I would love Tanaya Miller to be the Doctor, because I've recently watched a show called The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix. I mainly watched it because of Rahul Kohli, who's one of the characters in there, and he's he was part of one of my favorite YouTube channels called Funhouse. So I watched that show because he was in there, and I saw him tweet about it, and I ended up actually really liking the show. And she is a character in that show, and she's actually a really fucking good actress, like really good. And she has the regal nature because she's a bit like she's a bit older now, so she has like that she has a like regal mystique to her in her acting. Like you can feel like she's seen shit, right? And I honestly think, one, it'll be cool to have another female Doctor. Two, it'll be cool to have a black Doctor, right? Which isn't just a side Doctor. And I think she's really fucking cool. Like,
it might well be her actually, because when Russell wrote the novelization of Rose, the scene with Rose and the guy Clive, the guy who has all the information about the Doctor, in the book, he actually shows her like every incarnation of the Doctor up to number 14. So he describes Jodie, and then he like in the book, Clive shows Rose a picture of Jodie, like a blonde woman, and then the next description is basically Tanir Miller. So it might well be her because it's Russell's book.
If it is, we will talk about it on this episode. We'll talk about it on this podcast, and I will probably scream, and you guys will have to turn the volume down because I honestly think that is the choice I would go. Like, I have my choices for if I was writing to my Doctor. You obviously know them, Chris. But I think Tanir Miller is the perfect choice for the next Doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening.
I completely disagree. I need to say my choice because I
haven't. That is true. That is true. That's true. I was about to go outro, but that is true. Chris, who would your choice for the next Doctor be?
Cyril Nuri. He's this guy who worked on a show with Russell T Davies. Sometime after Wizards vs. Aliens.
Oh my god! How'd you spell the name?
Do you know how to spell Cyril?
Cyril.
Yeah. Nuri is Nri.
Oh, this
Yeah. He was on a show. He starred on a show with Russell some time ago, and when I look at him, I can just see him in the TARDIS, like as the Doctor with two companions, and just being this sort of a sensible middle-aged man running around the universe, and that just is the Doctor for me. That's just like. When I think of the Doctor, I think of him. Like he has the look, I think, of like the perfect Doctor.
You know what? It's not a bad choice. And you know what? You know who wins out of both our choices, Chris? The black community, because both our choices are black people. Let's go. Thank you, guys, for listening to episode 0 of the Dr. Y podcast. The guys. What the fuck is the line? Sorry, the Dr. Y podcast, the guys who review Doctor Who. I've been Nermian, also known as Bam, and that's been the Angry Pacifist, also known as Chris, and we will watch you guys after Halloween, the first episode.
Is it called the Halloween Apocalypse or something?
That is what it's called, Chapter 1, the Halloween Apocalypse. And we'll talk about that. Don't forget to write your notes on that episode, Chris, because we will go that in depth. We'll see you guys next time. Bye
guys.
Bye guys. We're not doing it on this podcast too. What the hell?